There are shows with psychics.
And there are shows with doctors.
But there's no show like The Psychic and the Doc.
Your practical paranormal power unleashed.
This show synthesizes the talents of world-class medium Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer, psychic explorer,
and street smart spiritualist, behavioral psychologist, Dr. Pat Baccili. All subjects are on the table and no topic is taboo. Inspiration, insight,
action, and fun as Mark Anthony connects callers with loved ones in spirit.
In tandem with Dr. Pat's fresh, no-nonsense, street-smart, intuitive insights. And she is hilarious.
Extraordinary problems
require extraordinary solutions, which may come from this side
or the other side. This is The Psychic
and the Doc, and it starts now. Welcome, everybody. This is our Labor Day show on The Psychic and the Doc. And Dr. Pat, my amazing co-host, world-renowned behavioral psychologist, will not be here tonight, but she will be back next week. And we got a very special surprise. My co-host, Rocky. Rocky is one of our producers, but Rocky's also my business manager and travels with me when I'm on tour around the country. And we were just on a paranormal investigation. And we can't talk too much about it, but we were with a film crew from Discovery Channel, and we were filming at an abandoned insane asylum. And it's midnight, and Rocky is tromping through this battered, creepy, really funky place. So let me tell you, she is something else. So she can do an abandoned insane asylum one night, and then we'll go to the Ballet Russe the next night. So, Rocky, I'd say you're a pretty diversified gal.
Yeah, well, I am. And I just flew in from Colorado and was watching intently every second about the hurricane in our home state and the poor folks that had to abandon their homes. Plus Hawaii, all that's going on there. So tonight's show, the labor of love, take care and be self-aware. Not only be self-aware with yourself, but those around us and those in need.
Yes, and thank you, Rocky, for bringing that up. Hurricane Idalia was devastating. It hit the Big Bend and then in Florida, and then it went northeast through North Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. And our thoughts, our prayers, our best wishes are with all the victims of the hurricane, as they are with all the people of Maui that have suffered just devastating losses. And for anyone who wants to help, there are a number of legitimate organizations. I know Salvation Army has a website set up for Lahaina, for Maui, and I know that there will be similar relief organizations putting out their web links for the victims of Hurricane Idalia. So everybody, this is all about self-aware, take care, because people helping people is the greatest service to humanity.
And I agree with that. And a friend of ours, and who was a guest on our show, Jim Chemo West, a slack key artist and also lead guitarist with Weird Al Yankovic. He is doing a benefit because he does have property on Maui. And so if you go to his website, Jim Chemo West, Jim is basically doing music shows and online shows to help support and bring people back to their home of Lahaina. So I thought I'd just mention that.
Yeah, and that's Jim, Jim, Chemo, Kimo, West, West. You can Google that or go to Jim Chemo, Kimo, West.com. And yeah, he was our guest on our Earth Day show. Jim is an amazing guy, very spiritual, incredible musician. He, in addition to being the lead guitarist for Weird Al Yankovic, he has his own very robust solo career, and he's won a Grammy for best album in the metaphysical and the world music field. So
Yeah.
yes, so he's doing a lot along with many other people. I understand Oprah Winfrey, who has property on Maui as well, has joined joined the team of people helping out. So let's keep our brothers and sisters in Hawaii and those that are plagued by the hurricane in our thoughts, prayers, and if you can afford to help out, please do. Rocky, this is Labor Day. We're coming up on Labor Day this weekend, and a lot of people look at it as kind of the last hurrah of the summer and the barbecues and all that. And traditionally, Labor Day has been about celebrating the workforce, the people that are out there, sweating, doing the grind. But we took a different take on this because the labor that we're talking about is being aware and taking self-care. And I know you've got a lot to say about being aware, awareness and self-care, because you used to be a yoga instructor and you've taught people meditation, and you've always been very good about vegetarian, or at least a primarily vegetarian diet. What can you share with us? Share with our audience?
Well, the word is mindfulness. Be aware of yourself and pause when something irritates you or something that you're misunderstanding. Why bring all of that stress within yourself? First, reflect on it, take a deep breath, and then kind of rethink and also look from a different perspective of maybe who you're having an issue with. That is part of your own self-care. You can't get angry at what someone else does, maybe an act or an intention or unintentional thing, but how you respond to it is a way to have self-care within yourself. And like I say, take that deep breath, inhale and exhale, and think for just a moment before you speak, and ask for inner peace and understanding. And your response might even surprise yourself by just taking that moment. And I do want to add, Mark, being at the Continental Divide for the last 10 days and being that high up, your oxygen level is very compromised. So what I did, of course, you take caffeine and you take I don't want to use brand names, but something like Aleve, and they also sell cans of oxygen. But what I did is I centered myself and I took a deep breath, and then I said, wellness, be well, take care of thyself, and breathe deeply and get as much oxygen in my system. And all of a sudden, a peace came about me. Instead of feeling disoriented, I was able to center myself. And I think that helps in all situations. But I wanted to give the example.
No, that's an excellent example. And we're going to talk more about self-care. We're coming up on a break in a few minutes. This is a live call-in show. The call-in number is 1-800-930-2819. I always see people that are watching this because we're broadcast on transformationtalkradio.com and on several other links as well, excuse me, including Facebook Live. And I always see people on Facebook, I want a reading. Well, guess what? You can get one if you call into the show, 1-800-930-2819. So that's the call-in number. And I'll be doing many readings for people to connect them with loved ones in spirit. And Rocky, who is subbing for Dr. Pat, is also extremely experienced in interpreting messages from spirits. She's been working with me for a long time. Plus, she's had a background in Silva mind control and dream interpretation, which are useful skills for understanding the metaphors and the messages which come through from spirits. So when we come back from the break, 1-800-930-2819. I look forward, and Rocky and I look forward to taking your calls. And this is our Labor Day show. And the labor is internal, taking care and being self-aware. Okay, we're going to go to a short break. We'll be back in a few minutes. I'm Mark Anthony. I'm here with Rocky Trainer, and this is the Psychic in the Doc on the Transformation Network.
Stay with us.
I'm Mark Anthony, and I'm known as the Psychic Explorer and the Psychic Lawyer, and this is the Psychic in the Doc. My amazing co-host, Dr. Pat Baccili, will be back next week, but we're delighted to have Rocky Trainer. She has been my co-host on several episodes of the Psychic in the Doc, and she's my partner in, I don't want to call it crime, let's call it partner on my journey in my spiritual journey, because she travels with me when I'm on tour, and she's my manager, and she deals with all the funk and gunk, so I can just do my bit as a medium and as a lecturer. You know, the theme of this show is Labor Day, but the labor is internal, and you know, it's be aware, take care, it's self-help, self-awareness. And this morning I was at the health club, and I was on a cardio machine. I was on the treadmill, and I was looking at all the people in the gym, and it's a pretty big place. There were people of all shapes and sizes. I mean, you got all the, you know, the people that look like they're photoshopped, you know, all rippling with muscles. But then you had people that you know, not so much. And it was interesting because being a medium, I'm also an empath, so I pick up on people's feelings. And I was struck by the most profound sense of happiness. All those people there, and you know, they're pumping iron and doing cardio, but they're all happy. They were happy because they were doing something positive for themselves. And it was really such a great way to start the day. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. And diet, exercise, eating properly, it adds to and contributes greatly to your health and to the quality of your life. And those things are very, very important.
I agree with you, Mark, because your well-being is so very important. And when you even just take a brisk walk, those endorphins get going, and especially people who are grieving or are grieving about something, or depressed or not feeling well, by actually moving and getting things moving in your system, then you can get those endorphins going and your mindset changes. But while we're here, Mark, we have a caller that is, I see, from Colorado, and her name is Susan. And Emily, if you would kindly bring Susan on.
Yep, Susan from Colorado, you are live. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. How are you?
We are doing well, Susan. Welcome. Where are you from in Colorado?
I'm from Loveland.
Loveland.
I originally was from Estes Park.
Oh, beautiful area. I hear a slight bleed over on the phone. Are you on a speakerphone, Susan?
No, ma'am, I'm not.
Okay, maybe your mouthpiece is too close, so that could be a possibility.
Are you on
okay,
earbuds?
I'll bring it out.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
sir, I'm not.
Okay. Susan, I just want to let you know that we're having a problem with your sound quality, and that can affect the connection with the other side. So what type of phone are you on? Are you on a cell phone or a landline?
An Apple iPod cell phone.
Okay.
Oh, an Apple iPod cell phone. Okay. It's just the speaker quality can cause interference when Mark is trying to connect.
Yeah, because I'll do my best. All right, who do you want to talk to? Don't give me their name, just the relationship, and I'll see if I can. Or do you have a question other than, you know, you want to talk to a spirit? What can we help you with, Susan?
I want to ask a spirit, my daughter, why.
I can barely understand you.
I want to ask a spirit, my daughter, why.
All I said is, you know what? Susan, go ahead. Emily, go ahead and have Susan hang up and call back. Maybe we'll get a clear transmission because I can't understand what you're saying. And sometimes when you call back, we'll get a clearer connection. Or Susan, if you have a different type of phone somewhere in the house, try that one. So we'll be back with you in a minute. So while that's happening, for everybody else who wants to call in, the call-in number is 1-800-930-2819. So Rocky, you were talking about how you were centering and focusing yourself when you were in the Rocky Mountains, but does that just apply there?
No, it applies everywhere. But my awareness level, as this is be self-aware, take care, labor of love, it really brought home the fact of the things that I have studied and I have done to center myself. And because of the shortness of breath and the altitude, I really had to concentrate on it. And also what came to mind was the fact that I'm not doing it enough. Even if you take out 5 minutes a day, some people think meditation has to be 15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour a day. No. Our mutual friend of ours, who is a meditation teacher, Anthony Profeta, also speaks of this in a way that if you take out 3 to 5 minutes and center yourself, breathe, relax, and try to just let everything go, everything changes your physiology, your mental state, and your well-being. And so, as I said, it just reiterated or impacted that moment when I had short of breath, saying, I need to do this a little bit more often, and it doesn't take much time at all.
You brought up another interesting point when I was talking about working out and exercising, and you mentioned how this can be very helpful for people who are grieving. And obviously, as a medium, the work that I do is helping grieving people. And what I do is I connect them with their loved ones in spirit. But spirit communication is one part of the bigger picture of coping with loss. And physical exercise is a huge part of it. Now, a lot of times we have a desire to sit there and eat an entire bucket of chocolate ice cream or drink lots of alcohol, red wine, whatever, beer, whiskey, and all that. And okay, maybe a night of that, but that isn't going to help. And exercise takes a lot, a big part of that gnarly edge off the grief. And like Rocky pointed out, that's because it releases endorphins. And endorphins are hormones in your body which counteract the hormones that cause grief. Yes, a lot of our grief and pain is certainly emotional, and it's caused by the loss of a loved one. But the mechanics of that, there is a biochemical reaction that goes from the emotion to the body that intensifies the grief. So when you counteract it through physical exercise, it starts to take the edge off of it. Also, as Rocky was explaining, she was in the mountains. Okay, nature is a very, very healing environment because the energy is all different there. And Rocky, what's been your experience? Because I know we were talking about this the other day. I was reading you an article. Rocky, she's my muse when I'm writing an article for Best Holistic Life magazine, and it had to do with grief. And she was talking about your grieving place. Where was that?
Well, there's so many different places and times when when someone passes, as Mark explains in his books, Evidence of Eternity and Afterlife Frequency, and then, of course, his first book, Never Letting Go, which is the journey of grief, helping one get through the grief. You are in shock, and I used to say to Mark, it's like walking through cobwebs or cotton candy or a fog, and you just go through the motions. Then it sets in, as Mark can explain better than I. However, once you get past a certain amount of time, you think you're moving along because your life has changed forever into a new and involved place. What happens is all of a sudden the firsts begin, the first birthday, anniversary, something that is the first year without that person. And it took me by surprise where I would just burst into tears.
Yeah.
And I could not believe how overwhelming it was. But tears, as Mark says, is healing. And could you explain that, Mark?
Yes, it's been scientifically proven at a number of universities and research hospitals that the tears of grief contain the neurotransmitters, in other words, the chemicals in our body that cause depression. So when you shed tears of grief, you're actually getting the chemicals that cause depression out of your body. And this is different than reflex tears. Reflex tears are, you're sneezing, from pollen or dust or something, or, you're tearing because you're laughing so hard, which is a good thing. Laughter is a huge help with grief. But tears of grief are a good thing. And this is one of the things that I try to teach men in how to grieve. Because guys, we don't want to cry. We'd rather die than cry because, we're socialized and raised that men don't cry. Well, my dad was a Navy SEAL, and he told me a real man is never afraid to cry for someone he loves who has died. And now it's scientifically proven that crying is it's the healthy thing to do. We have nerves, hearts, feelings, and tear ducts for a reason. And so, guys, it's okay to cry. Go to a private place. I always recommend drive your car somewhere private, sit there and let her rip. And it's also, after you have a good cry, a grief cry, do you ever notice how you feel exhausted? And that's because you're getting those neurotransmitters out. It's a release. And that exhaustion is actually part of the healing process. So we're coming up on our next break. And when we come back, we're going to go back to the phone lines, 1-800-930-2819. And I believe our tech team, headed by the amazing Emily and her incredible accomplice, Jonathan, has done a superb job working on Susan's sound issues. So when we come back from break, we are going to take Susan's call. Rocky?
Yes, 1-800-930-2819 and have a mini reading with Mark. See you in a few.
All right. Thanks, Emily. Let's take her away, and we'll be back in a couple minutes. We're back. I'm Mark Anthony. I'm here with Rocky Trainer. This is the Psychic and the Doc. The Psychic, and this week Rocky is standing in for the Doc, Dr. Pat Baccili, and my amazing co-host, who will be back next week. And we got Susan back on the line. We're going to go to her in a moment. Couple quick guidelines for folks that call in. When I'm presenting evidence, try not to interrupt me or talk over me. Wait till I say, do you recognize this, or does that make sense? Because if you talk over me, it can cause me to lose the connection. Also, the reason that I'm so particular about the sound quality, everything that I do as a medium is about tuning into frequency. So the clearer the connection between us, the clearer the contact with the other side. So if I say, look, I can't understand, I'm not crashing on you. It's the electromagnetic energy connection that has to be clear. Also, when I present information, if it doesn't immediately make sense, please avoid the dreaded no syndrome. A lot of people get into no. And when you do that energetically, it's like you're slamming the door in the spirit's face. It's better to say, I'm not sure. Let me think about it. I don't know just yet. Energetically, that leaves the door open. Also, it's after the reading. That's when things are really going to start popping, and you'll be like, oh, now I know what that means. And sometimes they bring up things that haven't happened yet. I'm not a fortune teller, but spirits can see what you and I call the future. Anyway, at the beginning of my private readings, and you can schedule one through my website by visiting afterlifefrequency.com, just like my latest book, the afterlifefrequency.com. If you go to my website, you can schedule a reading with me. All right, Susan, you've been so good waiting for us. How can we help you?
I would like to know a couple of questions from my daughter.
Okay, with questions, keep them shorter. We'll put them out there, keep them, and I say shorter, about 10 words or less, and realize that communicating with spirits is not like Alexa. You know, it's like, Alexa, answer these questions, because she may not answer these questions right away. Let me see if I can get her first before we start launching into questions. All right, female energy coming through, and what I'm getting with her, when I say I'm feeling an impact sensation to my head, that doesn't always mean traumatic injury. An impact sensation to the head, as I feel it, indicates that this could have been an abrupt or unexpected passing, but an impact sensation could also mean a traumatic injury, could be like an aneurysm, or like I said, a quick and unexpected passing. I'm getting a very dry taste, a dry sensation in my mouth, which is indicating something was affecting her mouth, taste buds. I'm also getting an atrophied feeling in my chest and heart. Now, obviously, everybody's heart and lungs stop functioning when they pass, but this is something that it feels like whatever it was came upon her abruptly, suddenly, and sent her into a very cardiopulmonary failure fairly rapidly. And Susan, please understand that when I'm giving evidence about how people died, I know I sound very clinical about I'm getting cardiopulmonary failure, I'm getting this and this, and I am extremely sympathetic to what you're going through. I just have to tell you what I'm getting because it's coming in so fast. So if I sound clinical, I don't mean it in an unfeeling way. Based on what I described, does any of that make sense in relation to your daughter's passing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we got her here, and she keeps talking about when I get a name, she's talking about Judy. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean her name was Judy, but it could be a J name like a Judy, Julie, Joni. Could be a J name with the J and the Y sound, but there could be a Judy in this world that she may be referencing connected to you or her, or it could be a Judy connected to you in some other ways, or anything with Judy that jumps out right away.
Joey, her husband.
Oh, Joey. All right, we'll go with that one. Joey, her husband. All right. And Joey's here in this world, right?
Yes.
Okay. She said Joey's been very difficult. She keeps repeating in the wake of her passing, Joey has been very difficult. She said like dealing with him is like dealing with a giant boulder. You're trying to push it, but it's unyielding. So does that make any sense to you, Susan?
Yes, right on.
Okay. All right.
Can I
yeah,
ask
go ahead.
a question?
Yeah, I'm getting to that.
Can
Okay,
you
you got to
tell-
realize I got to hold on. I got to build a rapport with this spirit, and there's more she wants to give me, but go ahead. Go ahead and ask the question.
Was it on purpose, and why?
Say that again, please.
Was it on purpose, and why?
Yes, her passing was on purpose. And she wants you to know that as a spirit, she has a very clear focus that she did not have prior to her physical death. And she's explaining to me that it's interesting how when she was talking about Joey being a boulder, she's not saying Joey is implicated in this in any way, but she felt like all the depression, all the grief was like all these stones. It was like an avalanche. She felt the weight of the world upon her. She felt very pensive, very, very nervous, and she kept feeling that her life was always going to be very short, very short. And she describes herself as like a really robust firecracker with a very short fuse. And I'm not being funny when I'm saying that. She's just telling me that she had a very outgoing, very dynamic way about her, but there was this other side that was just steeped in depression, and it just became overwhelming. That's what she wants you to know. Does that make any sense?
Oh, yeah.
Did anyone have a poodle? Because she's holding like a little poodle, and I can, it looks like a poodle. It's white and it's got the curly hair, but she's holding, or a spirit of a poodle is with her. Did anyone, you or she or someone close to you, have a poodle?
Not that I can think of right now.
If I say poodle, don't worry about how it applies to her. If I say poodle, what does a poodle make you think?
I have a friend that has a poodle doodle.
A
Or a
labradoodle?
golden poodle. A
Okay.
labradoodle
Labradoodle.
called Libby.
Oh,
She had that dog. It's gone now.
that dog has passed?
Yes.
Well, that's the dog that's coming through. She is with that dog. And so, that, and it's interesting because when you mentioned your friend, she projected to me a very warm feeling. Sounds like somebody that you can turn to, talk to, confide in, and she wants you to know that this very loving animal is with her, because I can feel the warmth of the poodle or the labradoodle up against her. Okay. And
Yes.
she's saying to you, she's talking about the Gemini time frame. Now, Gemini
Yes,
runs.
she's a Gemini.
Oh, she's a Gemini. Okay. So let me explain why that's so important. When a spirit gives us a message of an explanatory or advisory nature, she wants you to know that in this world, the depression had overwhelmed her and she just could not think straight and rationally. That's why she did this. But now as a spirit, she's free from all that. And she's with this really loving animal, this labradoodle. And then that's the advice and explanation. And when the spirit follows that up with an objectively verifiable fact, Gemini, she was a Gemini. The verifiable fact of Gemini, Susan, is how she's letting you and I know that we have properly received and interpreted the message before that. So I'll leave that with you. Rocky, do you want to say anything? Because I know we got another caller that we got to get to. And Susan,
We
thank
have
you for
Marilyn
calling
from
in.
Florida. But I want to say, Susan, we're so very sorry for your loss. And it's very difficult to get through the grief. And we hope that you take this as a new relationship with your daughter in the spiritual realm. I know it's very difficult to even have that concept, but know that she's near you, she loves you, she's around you. And Mark just verified, she's with this very loving creature in spirit. So please take that in your heart, in your soul, in your mind, and just be thankful for the time that you had with this lovely, lovely spirit. God bless you. Be well.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Susan.
Bye.
Thank you. So Emily, I understand we have another caller. Is it Marilyn from Florida?
Yep, we have Marilyn from Florida. Marilyn, you are live. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello, Marilyn. You're from Florida. Where?
I'm from the Space Coast near Cocoa Beach.
Great.
Okay, great. Marilyn, how can we help? How can we help you tonight?
Hi, Mark. Recently, I feel like I'm not alone. I live alone, but I feel like somebody's with me in a positive way. And I just wondered if you could tell who it is.
Well, I'm picking up on a male energy connected to you, and he feels like he could be, well, it could be on the parent level, but I'm kind of feeling he could be on the grandparent level. Elderly gentleman when he passed, I'm seeing he definitely was balding. He had a little bit of hair, around his ears and back of the head. It wore glasses, pretty thick glasses, and they were bifocals. Of course, that's not unusual for older folks, but he smiles a lot. He seemed like he was kind of a really cool guy, really nice. And he's explaining to me, he said, I lived a good life. I lived as long as I needed to, and then I had a clean break. And I'm getting this piercing sensation in my heart, and it's hit me like a ton of bricks. So what this indicates to me is this really nice elderly chap. I mean, he almost has like a British genteelness about him, which means he was a true gentleman. It feels like he was sharp as a tack, but when he passed, he went really quickly. So he could have had a heart attack, or he could have had like a stroke that took him really quickly, or he just may have passed in his sleep. But what I'm not getting is a long, slow decline in disease. I just get that all of a sudden that was it. Does this make any sense to you? Do you recognize this person?
No, I don't. At this moment, I don't.
Hold on. See, you're doing the no syndrome. Remember I was saying avoid the no
Right.
syndrome, because that's creating a block.
Right,
Now,
I'm listening now.
all right, hold on. See, you're still doing no. I want you to think, how did your grandfathers, are both your grandfathers still in this world?
No, I've never met neither grandfather.
Well, we got the grandfather connected to you through your mother's side of the family. And he is bringing up the month of August. Now, I know today is the last day of August, and listen to me before you no things. He could be referencing a significant birth, death, anniversary, or event, which could be connected to you or somebody close to you, either in this world or the other side, within the month of August.
Okay.
All right. Does that make sense?
I'll think about it.
Okay. See, you're doing the right thing now. Did something just happen with you automotively, like some issue with your car, like you may have had to take it in, or some problem with the car, like within the last 2 weeks? Because he's talking about an automotive issue with you within the last couple weeks.
Within the last month, yes.
What happened?
I had a blowout tire.
That's an automotive issue. So you see, now we know. Yeah, I mean, your car's part of your automobile, so that's why it's automotive. And your grandfather's spirit is around you. Okay. Now, is there a male J name, like a Joseph? It could be a Jim, Jack, Joe, Jeff, John. Here's why. I was raised in the Catholic faith, and many times spirits will give me Catholic imagery. Now, this is not about the religion. Each saint has a different symbolic meaning. And I'm seeing Saint Joseph, and Saint Joseph can indicate a male name that starts with the letter J, but and that doesn't have to be him. He could be referencing another spirit or somebody significant to you in this world. And we all know people start with J. But more importantly, because he's the carpenter, this could mean you are thinking of moving or buying or selling, transferring a piece of real estate, or doing some type of renovation or remodeling work. Does any of that apply to you in any way?
You hit the nail on the head.
No pun intended with St. Joseph the Carpenter. All right. In what way, Marilyn? Go ahead.
Well, just about everything you said is true.
Yeah, there you go. So now we know. See, and this is what's really cool about this. You never met either of your grandfathers, but that doesn't mean they don't know you. And that's what he's here proving. And do you know anything about any stories about your mom's dad? Because I just get that he was a really jovial, really upbeat kind of a guy. Do you have any knowledge of that?
No, he died when my mom was a baby.
Interesting. So this could be a great uncle, because if your mom was a baby when he died, the man I'm seeing is an elderly man. So we're getting an elderly man. It could be possibly your dad's grandfather, but I'm really your dad's father. But I really feel that this is an older man connected to you through your mom's side of the family. So there could be like a stepfather or there could be an uncle or somebody like that. Instead of us trying to figure that out, because you can find that out after the reading. Let's find out why he's around you and what he wants to help you with. Okay. He said he's very concerned. First off, you're very capable. You're very competent. He says you're a real go-getter, Marilyn. You're a real go-getter. You don't let anybody or anything get in your way. And the cool thing about it is you're not one of these, kill, crush, destroy to get what I want. You're just very focused on what you do. And by not letting people get in your way, what that means is you don't take, like when people criticize you and put you down, you blow it off and say, you know what, that's their opinion. I'm still going to focus on this. And he said that he wants to help you self-actualize. In other words, you're on a very good trajectory in life, a very good path in life. And he is part of the spirits that are guiding you to becoming the person you have always been destined to be. And that's a pretty cool message. Does any of that make sense to you?
Yes.
Yes, in what way? Yes.
It's exactly the path I'm on.
Okay, hold on. Interesting. Are you getting any cramps in your legs or calves or somebody close to you? Because I'm feeling cramps in my calves. And a lot of times people wake up in the middle of the night and there's a real bad cramp in their calf. And I'm tasting oranges. And of course, I know that you're in Florida and, there's oranges everywhere there. But oranges and the cramps indicate to me you may be having an issue with potassium. And potassium, a deficiency with potassium can result in cramps, specifically in your calves. Also, people that may have blood sugar issues, sometimes diabetics, usually have issues with potassium, as do heart patients. Now, not saying that you're diabetic or a heart patient, but these are two things that you really need to keep an eye on. So make sure you go to your regular checkup. And you need to make sure your electrolytes, which are the minerals, particularly potassium, is incorporated into your system. Anything there makes sense with you?
Yes.
In what way?
Leg cramps, and I'm outside a lot, sweat. I'm sure I need electrolytes.
Exactly. One of the easiest ways to get potassium, orange juice, or just eat a banana. They're delicious, nutritious, and loaded with potassium. Rocky, do you have anything you want to contribute with Marilyn?
I was just going to say the same thing. Find foods that are full of potassium. I know that there's so many different wonderful things that you can enjoy eating, and it'll help with your cramps. Also, stretching those muscles as well, and breathe and think about when you do that. You could lay down and do it, actually a relaxation technique where you start at your toes and you inhale and you curl your toes down, relax as you exhale, and then curl your arches downward and exhale, and then go all the way up your legs and relax to kind of like tell those muscles that you're aware and you want to bring more oxygen to them. And then, of course, eating the foods. You are what you eat, and being self-aware, which is our theme this evening, taking care of yourself, doing simple things like that. It's just very easy, just before you go to sleep, laying in bed, after you maybe say a prayer or meditate or think on the day, and positive things, what you take in and think about helps. And then also talking to your body. So that's my 2 cents on that. And I'm wishing you well, because a cramp is an awful thing. I mean, even if it only lasts a moment or two, it's very painful. So I hope those go away for you.
Marilyn, thank you. Thank you so much for calling in. It was an honor to do a reading for you. And if other things start making sense, you're always welcome to call back in, next week or in a couple weeks. And the same thing with you, Susan, and all the other callers out there. So thank you, Marilyn. It's been a pleasure talking to you. God bless. Take care.
Take care.
Thank you, Mark. I hope that you do a 9/11 with George Norrie this year?
Well, let me tell. Well, thank you for asking. Actually, I'll be on October 13th, Friday the 13th.
Okay.
I'll be back on George Norrie for a special Friday the 13th episode, and I'll be talking about the history, the mystery surrounding the superstition of Friday the 13th. And so I
Okay.
really appreciate you saying that. So, Marilyn, your wish is my command.
Okay, you've just done some wonderful 9/11 chats with him in the past that have been just wonderful. So I look forward to hearing you on the 13th. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you, Marilyn. God bless.
Bye-bye,
Take care.
Marilyn. God bless. Be well.
You know, talking about superstitions and things, I got to bring this up. When Rocky and I were doing the investigation for the Discovery Channel show, and we're not at liberty to say the name of the show yet because it's a brand new series and it's really cool. They filmed each episode at different places in the world, and the only episode filmed in the United States is the one that they invited me to be part of. And so we're at this giant abandoned insane asylum, and the place was like, I mean, it had every trapping of a haunted house. I mean, it was all a disaster area and all this. And there's bats all over the place. And I remember one of the young production assistants, she was freaking out because, you know, what it is, we're outside and they have all the camera lights and it's drawn mosquitoes, which there were a lot of, and the bats are swooping down. And she goes, oh, a bat will build a nest in your hair. And Rocky said, like, you're going to stand there long enough to let it do that? And then she started laughing. She goes, I never thought of that. And there, because there's that old superstition that beware of bats, they'll build a nest in your hair. So really, if a bat lands on your hair and starts constructing a residence, you're really going to stand there and let it?
I don't think so. You know, a funny thing happened to me last week on the Continental Divide. The place that I was staying at, a friend's home, they had bird feeders, liquid bird feeders for the hummingbirds. And these hummingbirds actually had a pecking order of who could be at the feeder. And it was quite amazing. These beautiful, almost helicopter-like gorgeous plumage and color and iridescence were just fluttering at a speed, and they were zooming in. And I was thinking of when we were filming just 3 weeks earlier. Oh, I would be like moving away from the bats, but here I'm trying to approach another type of bird, and these little things would flutter right next to your ear. They were so friendly and so intense on protecting where they were eating. They would actually close to you and almost sit on your head. And you have a wonderful thing that you talk about with the ability of a hummingbird that can see better than we can as far as colors and things. So
yeah,
I
they
thought about that
can.
the whole time.
Well, we've only got a couple minutes, so we'll save that particular discussion for another time.
Okay.
But I also want to invite people, please tune in next week. Dr. Pat and I will be back. But I invite people to visit my website, afterlifefrequency.com. Please sign up for my newsletter. I've got one going out this evening because I'm introducing my article for the September edition of Best Holistic Life magazine. And
Best Life magazine.
Yeah, that's when I was on the cover of Best Holistic Life. And the article is entitled, There's More to Michelangelo's David Than What Meets the Naked Eye. And I'm writing about the controversy that surrounded Michelangelo when he made this gigantic nude statue of the biblical hero David. But I also explain what he faced when it came to censorship And censorship, as an author and as a constitutional scholar and an attorney licensed to practice in Florida, Washington, D.C., and before the United States Supreme Court Bar, this is the United States of America. We have a right of free speech. We have freedom of the press. We have freedom of belief and freedom from religion. And we must stand firm against the negative elements that are trying to impose censorship into our lives. That censorship is un-American, and Michelangelo had to deal with it 500 years ago, and it's ridiculous that in the United States we're dealing with it now. So if you go to bestholisticlife.com or go to afterlifefrequency.com, you can sign up for my newsletter and subscribe to the magazine. Rocky, go ahead.
I'd like to say, we miss you, Dr. Pat, and I look forward to seeing you on camera next week. And I hope all is going well. We love you dearly, and so thankful that you have such a great network, the Transformation Network, for so many people to learn so many things and so many interesting shows and topics. So thank you so very much. And everyone behind the scenes, thank you for all your efforts and good work.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Mark Anthony. This is the Psychic and the Doc on the Transformation Network, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Namaste. Good night.
Ciao.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Psychic and the Doc with Mark Anthony and me, Dr. Pat Baccili, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Hey, look, come back next week so we can explore with you more of life's many challenges and learn from fascinating guests. And you know what? Even Mark and me. We'll connect you and discover insights from people in this life and from the afterlife. Extraordinary problems? Yeah, they do. They require extraordinary solutions. But step into the world of possibilities with us on the Psychic and the Doc. That's every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. That's TransformationTalkRadio.com. And don't forget, we're also live face-to-face on Facebook.com, Transformation Talk Radio.